Hi, I'm Jenny. I'm just a woman. I could call myself a holistic wellness coach for the effect on social media, but I'm just a woman who is trying to heal, who is trying to follow her passion and live a purposeful life. I am sat under my favorite tree with the sun on me, drinking some cacao, and today I usually season my cacao with ginger, cinnamon, and cayenne. I did quite a bit of cinnamon, a wee bit of cayenne, and just no. Quite a bit of cinnamon, a little bit of ginger, and then just a wee dash of cayenne. And I was looking at my tea selection and I saw rose. And I used to put rose petals in, but I hate the chunks of the rose. But I like the taste of the rose. So I brewed like a little potent shot worth of rose tea and I added that into my cacao today as well. So I'm excited. I've only had like one sip, but I already feel very like open and expansive today. So I felt like I wanted to share. I have cacao and naturally want to share it anyway. However, I'm by myself, but I'm with the trees. So I thought I would do a little video. I wanted to speak about one thing specifically. I woke up this morning and I felt it was a message that I wanted to put out there. And it's also a message that it's a little bit difficult for me to talk about, but I really want to be more vulnerable, more open, more honest. I feel like I have shown up on social media for quite a lot of years now, but I don't feel like I've shown up. I don't feel like I've shown up authentically as myself. And I feel I'm in this phase of my life where I feel so whole, I feel so much balance, and I feel I am so confident in knowing my own worth. And that feels really nice. And I feel I need to share that true, authentic side of me now, rather than just the clickbaity, chaotic side that I feel was shown for so long. So I wanted to speak about jiu-jitsu. I wanted to speak about my journey with it and the main challenge I've had with it, but how much I absolutely love it now that I have overcome that challenge. I am a firm believer that the things we experience, the traumas that we've gone through and we may hold on to still, I don't believe that you need to tell everyone. I don't believe that everybody needs to know every little detail of it. And actually I feel the more I've healed from my own traumas, the less I've felt the need to tell everyone, rather just telling a select few that I trust. At one point in the healing journey, I definitely felt like, oh, once I feel comfortable telling anyone, then I must be healed. But I really shifted my perspective on that, and I feel the more I pulled away from that, the more I've actually healed. However, I do want to share a small amount because I kind of have to share it to explain my challenge and how I've overcome the challenge. I feel there's valuable lesson within people sharing these things. When I was younger, I experienced some sexual trauma, and it was something that I locked in a box, and I buried that box so deep that I forgot it from my mind. However, there were so many bodily symptoms of my body trying to say, like, look, we're holding on to this, but I was so in denial that I erased it from my memory for so many years. And it's something that I have allowed to surface, and I've given space to feel into it and lean into it. Now, I suppressed it for so many years, way longer than the time I've given myself to actually feel into it and process it and try and release it from my body and express it. And I'm very aware of how it's still stuck in my body. I'm aware of how much I have released, but I'm aware of where I still hold on to it. And jiu-jitsu was a huge step in overcoming a lot of it, and it kind of like forced me to have to face it. I do a lot of breath work, meditation, journaling, sitting with the trees, connecting inwards, trying to connect with spirit, receiving my own messages, things like that. And that is all great. I think it's all needed. But it's like the yin and the yang, you know? Like I have that time to myself to process and unravel and lean into it. But jiu-jitsu is fast-paced, there's pressure, there's problem solving, you feel under attack. And because of this sexual trauma that I've held on to, I've always been a bit of a panicky person. That's something that's formed from childhood. However, it definitely became heightened. So when I was about 18, I started getting panic attacks. And one of my first few jiu-jitsu classes, I did have a panic attack. Luckily, it was a private session. It was just my boyfriend and my coach. And I felt safe there. Obviously, I'm with my boyfriend, I feel safe. And my coach is great. He is so not judgmental. And I started going into panic, but classic me, I tried to laugh it off. However, I ended up in tears, and I was in this in-between state of like laughter and tears, and I just looked crazy. And since then, I felt such like a block with jiu-jitsu because of the fear, because of the panic, and I knew it was something that I needed to explore. I knew it was something that was actually going to really benefit me. However, that block was there, and it took a while for me to be able to shift it. I'd say the first half a year of jiu-jitsu, I was so inconsistent because that fear kept winning. I kept letting it win. I'd show up here and there, but I was not consistent. The fear definitely overtook for most of that time. But then something switched. And I actually think the gym that I go to, they built a new gym specific for the jiu-jitsu. And it kind of seemed to overlap with the gym actually shifting. So I don't know whether the physical shift helped as well. But it was kind of just after the start of this year, just after the start of 2025, something shifted, and I went on a retreat at the end of February, and a lot shifted then. I feel that actually was a catalyst for a lot of change in my life, and so I feel there is a strong correlation with that shift as well. My business actually started taking off, and I felt like I was showing up authentically there, and I felt like I was actually able to help women overcome their challenges, and I guess that motivated me as well. So I guess there was a few physical shifts that helped create an internal emotional shift for me, and I don't know, something shifted, and I've just really, really been loving it. I'm very aware of how I'm adapting around my menstrual cycle as well. So follicular me is excited to get in and just get jumping about, and I'm maybe less technical in follicular. I'm very like energetic and just like, you know. And then ovulation is my favorite time. I know obviously at ovulation you are at higher risk of injury, so I do have to try and like slow myself down so I can get really excited and want to go really, really fast. But ovulation me, obviously I feel bold and confident and energetic, and so I love doing it then. I also feel so strong, and I feel like I have figured it all out. I obviously have not. I have still so much skill to learn. But that's how I feel at ovulation. And then luteal, I start slowing down and I feel like I become more technical because I'm naturally going a little slower. So I kind of see the skill side a wee bit more. And then late luteal, menstruation, not gonna lie, I don't go much. I really just honour my body's need for space and rest. And I think the last thing I want in that phase is someone sweaty bigger than me, like pinning me down, and I just have no energy to fight them off. So I give my body rest then, and I think the way I adapt it around my menstrual cycle actually really, really supports it as well. And throughout this process, I'm way less panicky, not just in jiu-jitsu, but like in my life in general. And I actually feel the more confident I've got with jiu-jitsu, the more confident I've been in myself, the more confident I've been in running my own business. It's really trickled out into so many areas of my life, and I feel so grateful for it. I feel so grateful for overcoming the challenge. I had been putting off doing any sort of competition for so long because I've just had so much fear of what if everyone's watching me and I have a panic attack. But I feel this is something I need to let go of, because the last panic attack I had was that one of those first sessions I had in jiu-jitsu, and I've not, and before that I hadn't had a panic attack for probably a couple of years. I hadn't also put myself into this sort of position that would really trigger it. However, with jiu-jitsu, that one of those first sessions was the last time I had it, and I've been in class rolling, and if I've been in a position where I feel like there's no room to breathe, and I felt like, oh, this is where the panic would kick in, I noticed myself like, right, just create space so you can breathe, and then we'll think of the next step. So it's been really nice. But I'm now actually starting to consider competitions, I feel, because I'm getting more confident in it and more confident in trusting that I'm not going to panic. I think that's the biggest thing, trusting that I'm not going to panic, that is no longer me. It never truly was me. It was just my body's way of coping, my body's way of trying to get my attention, but it's not who I am, and that's nice. And tomorrow I may or may not be competing. One of the girls is injured, so she'll let me know if I have to step in or not. However, there is another competition in a few weeks from now, and it lines up. I'm ovulating right now. I'm just coming out of ovulation. The next competition lines up with late follicular going into ovulation, so it would actually be such a perfect time for me to do it. And I think this is something I will need to consider when I go to sign up to competitions, is where does it land in my cycle? Because if it's going to land late luteal menstruation, I am going to hate it. And maybe that's something that one day I'll want to explore. However, right now it doesn't feel fitting. But the next competition feels like it aligns, and I feel like jiu-jitsu has helped me so much, and the gym and the coach are all so supportive that I then want to support them by helping the gym out by competing. And it's another challenge of myself. Like, I just have to do it and show myself that I'm not going to panic. That is not me. It never truly was me, and I am capable of it. That's how I feel about jiu-jitsu. I think jiu-jitsu is amazing, and I think, honestly, as a woman, I feel it is actually so incredibly, I don't even know what word to use. I just feel like every woman should learn. Maybe it won't be jiu-jitsu, maybe you want to do like kickboxing or Muay Thai or something, but I feel like every woman should learn a little bit of self-defense. Okay, women are biologically weaker than men. If you are actually under threat and there's a guy, there's multiple men, okay, like, our chances are limited. However, I feel it is still important for women to actually know some sort of self-defense, and the off chance that, like, it could help. It'd be better to be prepared than not prepared. And I also feel since doing jiu-jitsu, I've actually made smarter decisions. So like if I have to walk somewhere late at night, I remember I used to love walking through like the woods because I like being around trees and I like the darkness. I like when the moon was out. However, I'm very aware of like that is not maybe the safest option. So maybe don't do that solo. And I will stick to the main roads and I'll go hug the trees in daytime kind of thing. So I feel like actually since doing jiu-jitsu, it's actually made me wiser in terms of my safety in general anyway. But I do feel that like every woman should learn it. And if you feel that block of like, oh, I don't know, I can't do that, that's like personal bubble, can't do that kind of pressure, I just really want to encourage people to like feel into the discomfort, push past that challenge, because it is so worth it. I honestly cannot describe how much jiu-jitsu has helped me panic less. Like I said, the meditation, the breath work, all the gentle holistic healing side is so necessary, because when I did have my moments of panic in jiu-jitsu, I would then go home and I would use those tools to help me unravel and understand it. But without the jiu-jitsu, I wouldn't have been faced with that head-on, high-intensity, problem-solving pressure. Like I have to deal with it right in this moment right now. I have to navigate the panic with grace and meet myself with compassion, and this is like an in the moment, how am I navigating this panic, how am I regulating myself even though my body is starting to feel this panic. But anyway, I feel like I have been rambling on for quite a while about this now, and it was just something I really wanted to share because I want to be more vulnerable, open, honest, raw and real and authentic on social media, and this is one of my ways of doing it. But I also want it to be a message to encourage any other woman who, whether it's a sexual trauma or whether it's some other challenge they're facing, and they maybe feel pulled towards starting something like this, but that fear is blocking them. I just really want to encourage you to try it, to put yourself out there and lean into the discomfort, because the growth and the expansion and the abundance that follows is so incredibly worth it. I'm gonna leave it on that for now, and I'm gonna bask in all this youthful, excited, happy energy.